you are! Hello everyone! How is everyone doing? I'm Miss Aison. Today, you will learn about dehydration. But before we begin, let me introduce to you my fellow medical technologists, Miss Abinales, Mr. Alcantara, and Miss Aloria. We hope everyone will enjoy this discussion. Let's go! For today's topic, let's talk about the must-to-know in dehydration. Number 1, it is the process of removing intercellular and extracellular water from the tissue following fixation and prior to wax impregnation. Number 2, the volume of a dehydrating agent should be 10 times than the tissue. Number 3, many of the dehydrating agents are alcohols and are generally used in increasing strength to remove water from the tissue to avoid tissue distortion. Number 4, dehydration starts by placing fixed specimen in 70% ethyl alcohol in water, then transferred into 95% ethyl alcohol, then into 100% ethyl alcohol. Take note, for delicate or soft tissue, dehydration can start as low as 30% ethyl alcohol. Number 5, tissue should be immersed in an increasing concentration of the dehydrating agent. Number 6, to avoid tissue distortions, we have to immerse the tissue first in a lower concentration of alcohol, then transfer it to a higher concentration. Number 7, fatty tissues such as breast or lipoma may be inadequately processed in what is normally a successful schedule for other tissues. So now you already know the must-to-know about dehydration. Now let's proceed to the characteristics of an ideal dehydrating solution. Let's go!
Hi guys, I am Patricia H. Abenales. So now, let us talk about the characteristics of an ideal dehydrating solution. First, a good dehydrating solution should dehydrate rapidly without producing considerable shrinkage or distortion of tissues. Next, the solution should not evaporate very fast. It should be able to dehydrate even fatty tissues. Next, dehydrating solution should not harden tissues excessively. A good dehydrating solution should not remove stain, and it should not be toxic to the body. And lastly, an ideal characteristic of an dehydrating solution is it should not be a fire hazard.
Now let's proceed to the commonly used dehydrating agents.
Hi everyone, I'm Gemaline Aloria, and now let us proceed with the discussion about one of the commonly used dehydrating agents, which is the alcohol. Under this category of alcohol is the ethyl alcohol, or also called as ethanol. It is an alcohol suggested for routine dehydration of tissues and considered the best dehydrating agent since it is fast-acting. It is described as clear, colorless, and flammable fluid. It has advantages of being not poisonous, miscible with water, penetrated tissues easily, and can be used on eyes and embryos if created alcohols are used. Also, remember it has some disadvantages, such as being expensive, cause more shrinkage of specimen, and slightly miscible with resins. Another type of alcohol is the butanol or butyl alcohol. It has a boiling point of 117.7 degrees Celsius. For its advantages, it is less shrinkage and hardening compared with the previously mentioned, which is the ethyl alcohol. It is excellent for slow processing and miscible with paraffin. For its disadvantages, it is odorous, slow-acting, and required long period of filtration. Also, dehydrating power is low. Next is the tertiary butanol. It has a boiling point of 82.8 degrees Celsius. It is a universal solvent which acts as a dehydrating and clearing agent. It may be used in staining series, as a dehydrating agent. Also, it mixes with water, ethanol, saline, and paraffin. Just like butyl alcohol, it also odorous, but unlike butanol, it is more expensive and the reagent tends to solidify at room temperature or below 25 degrees Celsius.
So hi guys, let us first discuss what is isopropyl alcohol or isopropanol. Isopropyl alcohol is a widely used tissue dehydrant because it is easy to use and it is also cheap. The boiling point for this dehydrating agent is 82.3 degrees Celsius. So what are the advantages of this dehydrating agent? Number 1, it is an excellent substitute for ethanol. Number 2 is compared to ethanol, it causes less shrinkage and has better hardening factor. Number 3, it has no government restriction when it is used. Number 4, it is sufficiently water-free to use in place of absolute ethanol. Number 5, according to Lilly, he considered this dehydrating agent as the best all-around substitute for ethyl alcohol. And last but not the least, it is less expensive than tax-free alcohol. So let us now go to the disadvantages of this dehydrating agent. Number 1 is it cannot be used in celluloidine technique since nitrocellulose is insoluble in it. Number 2 is it cannot be used for preparing staining solution since dyes are not soluble in this dehydrating agent. So guys, let us move on to the next dehydrating agent that I'm going to discuss to you for today. So this dehydrating agent is called as pentanol or amyl alcohol. So the boiling point for this dehydrating agent is 128 degrees Celsius. So what are the advantages of this dehydrating agent? Number 1 is it is mixable with 90% alcohol and toluene and xylene. Number 2 is it dissolves paraffin wax easily. So let us now go on to the disadvantages of this dehydrating agent. Number 1 is it is toxic to humans. Number 2 is it cannot be used in poorly ventilated rooms. And last but not the least is pentanol or amyl alcohol is not miscible with water.
So, for the next dehydrating solution, we have acetone. This reagent has a boiling point of 56 degrees Celsius and it can dehydrate in 30 minutes to 2 hours. Acetone is a rapid dehydrating agent. It does not extract methylene blue and other dyes from stained sections. It is also miscible with most embedding resins. Compared to ethanol, acetone is much cheaper and it causes less shrinkage in the specimen. One of its disadvantages is it penetrates tissues poorly and causes brittleness in tissues that are placed in acetone for a prolonged period of time. It also requires a clearing agent. When using this solution, the room must have a good ventilation because it might have a bad effect when inhaled. It also evaporates fast and it is also flammable.
So now, the commonly used dehydrating agents is dioxane, aka diethyl dioxide. The refractive index of dioxane is 1.42. Its boiling point has 101.5 degrees Celsius, and we should take note that its characteristics is readily miscible with water, alcohol, and paraffin wax. We should remember that these characteristics of dioxane has no need for clearing because it mixes well with paraffin wax. This reduces time of process. Under dioxane, it produces less tissue shrinkage. How? Because the tissue was exposed to lesser chemicals. Another one we need to know, the tissue can be left immersed for a period of time without affecting its properties. Lastly, dioxane should not be used routinely because under that, the laboratory room should be properly ventilated and all residues should be washed down in the sink and should not be recycled as the risk of creating explosive peroxides increases greatly. So now let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of dioxane. The advantages of dioxane: it produces less tissue shrinkage. Tissues can be left in this reagent for a long period of time without affecting consistency or staining properties of the specimen. Tissues may be replaced directly into the solution after washing out. And it is universal solvent, meaning it dehydrates and clear. So now, what are the disadvantages? It is expensive, extremely dangerous. Its vapor can accumulate and cause cumulative toxicity to the body. The tissue sections tend to rebound poorly, and its vapor produces a cumulative and highly toxic action in man. Under that, if you have a short exposure to dioxane, you will experience irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. For exposure to large amounts can cause kidney and liver damage.
So guys, let us move on to the last dehydrating agent that I'm going to discuss for you today. And this dehydrating agent is called as silolosol, or also called as ethylene glycol monoethyl ether. So the boiling point for this dehydrating agent is 156.4 degrees Celsius. And according to Gregorio, this dehydrating agent dehydrates rapidly, and the tissue may be transferred from water or normal saline directly to silolosol and can be stored it for months without producing hardening or distortion to the tissue sample. So, according to Gregorio also, the caution to remember when using this dehydrating agent is ethylene glycol ethers are highly combustible at 110 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is very toxic when it is inhaled and contact with this dehydrating agent. So let us now discuss what are the advantages of this dehydrating agent. Number one, according to the Gregorio, it is a rapid dehydrating agent. Number two is the tissue may remain in it for months without injury. Number three is it avoids distortion and does not require gradient dilution. So let us now go to the disadvantages of this dehydrating agent. Number one is silolosol is very expensive. Number two is silolosol is rapidly absorbs water from the air. And last but not the least is silolosol requires clearing agent.
Triethyl phosphate. It has a boiling point of 215 degrees Celsius. For its advantages, it displaces water readily with only slight distortion, does not excessively harden the tissue which is being processed, and it is soluble in alcohols, benzene, toluene, xylene, ether, and chloroform.
Then the next dehydrating solution is tetrahydrofuran. This reagent does both dehydrating and clearing of tissues since it is miscible in both water and paraffin. The advantages of this solution is it is also a rapid dehydrating agent without excessive shrinkage and hardening. It also has low toxicity, low fire and explosion hazard. On the other hand, the disadvantages of this solution is it is odorous, so it should be used in well-ventilated rooms. Tetrahydrofuran evaporates rapidly and dyes are not soluble in this solution.
Transfer the slide rack into the first staining dish containing 70% ethanol. Incubate for 2 minutes, then transfer the slide rack into the second staining dish containing 100% ethanol. Incubate for 2 minutes, then transfer the slide rack into the third staining dish containing 100% ethanol. Incubate for 2 minutes. Finally, transfer the slide rack into a cleaning agent dish containing xylene. Let it soak for 5 minutes with frequent agitation.
Hope you guys enjoy this discussion. Bye!